The godless left, HOCHUL is kicked out of Jonathan Diller's wake, and our very special guest, Stephen Willeford. This is The Loaded Mic, and I'm Dan Was. It really is a shame to watch our fellow Americans on the political left denounce God or a higher power. And when Friedrich Nietzsche declared God is dead, he was referring to how the Enlightenment had contributed to the erosion of religious beliefs, which had long served as a foundational belief system for much of the world. Nietzsche said, man needs a God. And he believed that the removal of this system put most people at the risk of despair or meaninglessness. But many on the political left continue to pretend that there is no God. Eric Henry Lytle was a Scottish sprinter, rugby player, and Christian missionary. Lytle said, quote, "If you're not guided by God, you will be guided by something else," end quote. Now, because man needs a higher power, we find the political left seeking other forms of guidance. The left seems to be comprised of many easily manipulated, weak-minded people, and political leaders seem to understand this, which is why their marketing and propaganda is geared toward those who would be easily convinced to follow that ideology. It's no secret that left-wing media capitalizes on much more powerful, dishonest, and manipulative propaganda strategies. It also explains why propaganda is so effective on them with this and many other politically driven topics. So what appears to be happening on the political left within the liberal progressives, the Marxists, the American communists, and the Democrats in general is that because they need the support of their political tribe, they will conform to the rules that are given. So if you're running those left-wing circles long enough, while the people around you continually denounce the idea of a higher power, weak-minded people will conform, go along with the majority, even if it doesn't feel right. These are typically people who can't stand on their own and speak out for fear of ridicule, shaming, or being shunned. This doesn't happen to the same extent on the political right. Along with the adherence to this disbelief in God comes an idea of moral and intellectual superiority. This is extremely dangerous because with that sense of superiority, it's hard for some to admit that they've been misled all along. Moral and intellectual superiority is a necessary component when manipulating people. And the strategy of perpetuating this false sense of superiority must be consistently cultivated to keep people in a perpetual state of righteousness. Now, those who do understand that man didn't create man and that a higher power must exist, look at these people and feel sorry for them, because while they too are seeking guidance, they've been conditioned to ignore their true guidance, their true spiritual compass. Therefore, they gravitate toward government or influential people around them. The way to destroy the will and the morality of a human being is to constantly condition them to believe that the God they are naturally and instinctively drawn to doesn't really exist. There's a benefit to governments when they can destroy the will of the people, or when government can position itself as a replacement for God. Without something that we can always turn to in times of need, human beings can become depraved, immoral, angry, fearful, hopeless, and even vengeful. We're starting to see the stark division between those who believe and those who have been conditioned to denounce the idea of a higher spiritual power, or even worse, hate the idea of a higher spiritual power. This is becoming a battle between the godly and the godless. So we're going to talk about this and many other things with, he's the inquisitive gift that just keeps on giving, Johnchiara.
I'm very giving.
And he refuses to discuss his criminal record in public, anthonydeso. All right. So I took it a little different direction today, guys. I wanted to talk about this potential for there being a spiritual battle. And I'm not the most spiritual guy in the world. I got to admit, but I do see something happening. I wanted to get your opinion. Is something happening to those on the political left with respect to spirituality?
Well, of course, because as you mentioned in your monologue, the Enlightenment has gone to the point where we realize that it's not giving us any answers that are useful. It's not helping us live our lives. Again, I bring up the last video by Michael Schellenberger and Jordan Peterson discussed this exact thing in detail for hours. Really, really good. And Peterson, as you know, is the one that's been digging into this stuff for, decades, trying to.
He's been very skeptical too.
Because he's looking at it, he's gathering information. But we've seen that the society as it exists today, especially in this country, it's not functioning as it used to function because you've taken that meaning away. There needs to be something to aspire to. And if you take God out of that, then as you mentioned, something else is going to fill that void. And then now the Democrats have the government filling that void, and we see how well that works out.
Well, what's really interesting to me is that the people who denounce it or don't believe in God, they call people who do believe in God, crazy or conspiracy or whatever. But it seems like they're really the ones that are confused because they have to believe that all this life came from nothing.
Poof, there we are. Well, when you think you're right all the time, that's a lot easier to believe.
That's why I mentioned the moral and intellectual superiority complex. You have to believe, if you're going to follow along with this stuff, you have to believe that you're morally and intellectually superior. Right. And then by having that problem, I call it a problem because it is a problem, by having that problem, you are going to be more likely to defend your position. Because if you're morally superior and intellectually superior, you can't be wrong, of course, right? How are you going to ever admit that?
And everybody agrees.
At
least all the people that you normally hang out with agree.
Right, right.
Sure. Well, yeah, go ahead.
Well, I've always run in mixed circles on this topic. And
I think that the thing that tells the tale in a lot of situations is that a lot of the world's most prominent atheists, self-professed atheist people who are making arguments in various fields these days all agree that a belief system is a positive thing. As Jordan Peterson says, people ask him, do you believe in God? He says, I act as if God exists.
Yeah. Because
that's the framework that society has evolved within. This is why people that say, well, this is bad, that's all there was. It just goes to show that there's bad people in any situation. They can abuse power. They can abuse, ideas if they want, but that doesn't make the ideas bad, and it doesn't take away that need to have something to look up to as the highest form of unity, which that's what the church functioned as forever.
Isn't it necessary to have something like when you're a little kid, you look up to your parents. Your parents are your gods, but as you grow older, you tend to have this gravitation toward higher power. And if you're raised in a religious family, well, then it's pretty much explained for you as you're growing up. Mm-hmm. It just seems natural to want to have something higher and bigger than you for answers, like what happens when we die. I'm in a major struggle in my life. What do I do? Who do I talk to? And all these things, whether you're having financial struggles or you're having business struggles or relationship struggles, it seems like we gravitate towards something, God.
Well, because all those things you're talking about are human nature, and all that's been dealt with religion forever. I mean, people condemn the Bible, and you're like, well, there's thousands of years of observation of human behavior in there. You're not going to learn anything from that? That means nothing?
Right.
Plus, going to the other extreme, first of all, we're all brainwashed, which is fine. Some brainwashing is good. If you're brainwashed into believing all the precepts of the Bible as far as this is the way you live your life, this is how you be a good person, this is how you treat other people, nobody disagrees that that's not a positive thing.
Right.
But you can't call it that. You can't say that because that, it conflicts with something that the government and the media want us to believe about ourselves and other people. It's really because the first thing that happens is when you get away from those tenets is you start judging other people. People. Bad. Where do you go from there? I mean, I have multiple situations on social media right now where examples are coming up where, yeah, I agree with that idea. I'm not condemning you as a person, but even when I agree with your idea, you call me a bad person. So where does that go? Who taught you to think that way? Not the Bible.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm ranting, but yes.
No, it's good. It's good. I think we need to talk about it. We don't talk about this stuff enough, I don't think. And I never was the type of guy to bring these topics up, but lately, as I start to see what's happening in our society, in America, and I start to see that there's something definitely going wrong.
There's a meaning crisis, and that's what John Vervaeke, who's a big atheist, writes about. There's all kinds of people are looking for things to believe in to make their lives move forward in a way that is positive for them. And you need something. You can't have nothing. Your brain won't accept nothing.
What was yesterday? Transgender Vision Day?
Yeah.
Yeah. What's wrong with Joe Biden?
Well, that's always been on that day, so it's just he didn't have to go out and, spew about it. But
Right, exactly. He's trying to overshoot, Jesus rising over transgender people.
Yeah. To me, it looks evil, and I've never been one to say, "Oh, you're getting an example of God and the devil on earth fighting against things." I would never have said that would have really been possible. But when I start to look at what the Democrat Party's doing, it sure looks that way.
and it doesn't take much.
Well, go ahead.
Only takes a few people. Again, I was just listening to another Brett Weinstein podcast on the way up, talking to another doctor, and they're saying that in order for these trends to happen in society, you only need a small number of people to believe that. The American Revolution was
3%?
like 3% of the people, right? So you don't need everybody. You just need the right people in the right place with enough influence, and then you're running down the road.
And I think Democrats are getting scared of Christianity because they know that Christianity is powerful. The belief in Jesus, the belief in God is powerful. So what they're doing, like Anthony mentioned, that they had to make that announcement of Transgender Day or Tranny Visibility Day or whatever the heck it was on Easter Sunday, right? But that's not the only thing they did. I got a note here. During the Easter holiday this year, the Biden administration made a rule that during the Easter egg decorating for kids, right? You know how they do the Easter egg thing every year for the kids at the White House. There was to be no religious symbolism, no crosses on the eggs, no recognition of the reason why we're actually celebrating Easter, right? So they're scared. The Democrats and the left-wingers, the Marxists, the American communists, they're scared of Christianity.
Well, they've pushed it far enough where even moderate believers are like, whoa.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? What are you doing? Stop cramming this stuff down our throats. We know how to raise our families. We want control over what our children see and hear, and on and on and on and on. I think it's just reached the point where it's far enough where even regular folks are going, what the heck's going on here? They got to stop it. We need to stop it.
Yeah. Well, I think what it's doing is pushing a lot of people toward God, toward Jesus, and toward the Bible. I know it's pushed me because I'm like, oh, there's something really twisted and wrong over here on the left, on the political left. And they're constantly telling me, oh, Jesus wasn't real, God isn't real, all this stuff. So I know how dishonest they are already. So it tends to make me want to gravitate more toward
And that's
spirituality.
a normal human reaction too, right? Don't do this. Well, I don't know.
Yeah.
You're wrong about this. Well, I don't know.
I don't know.
Let me look into that.
Oh, man. One good thing is that this device right over my shoulder, there it is called the Cali Key, and it removes your AR from the definition of an assault weapon. Did you know that when so-called assault weapon ban lists are created, they exclude manually operated bolt-action firearms? So just by dropping this Cali Key into your direct impingement AR in place of your semi-automatic BCG, you'll have a bolt-action rifle that falls outside the definition of an assault weapon. You don't need to do anything else. So give the Cali Key a look, because with it, you could retain all your rifle's features, avoid registration complications, revive your black rifle sales as an FFL, regain the ability to do private party transfers, legally transport across hostile jurisdictions, hunt with your AR in areas like Pennsylvania, enhance long-range precision, and quieter suppressed shooting. Cali Key has state-specific expert attorney opinions on their website, and they support grassroots Second Amendment organizations with their sales. Cali Key's mission, to empower customers and claw back our civil liberties. So go to calikey.com and use the discount code LOADED. Check them out. calikey.com, discount code LOADED. Okay. Anything else on this? Because I thought it was important to bring it up.
Yeah. It's universal, I think. You know, we're seeing it everywhere, so it's going to play out.
How do you think it's going to play out? Which way is it going to go?
I think we're all going to burn next Monday on the solar eclipse.
That's my birthday. Have you seen all the signs? Solar eclipse, expect delays.
What the hell are they talking about?
Because idiots.
What's the sun going to get in my way?
No, idiots pull off the. Remember, like, it's like 4th of July for fireworks. You're on a bridge and there's cars.
You can't stare at it.
If you have your glasses, you can. Did you get your glasses? I got my glasses.
What's the state selling 3D glasses now? Get your
Stores.
glasses. Come on,
Convenience
stores.
stores, $1.69.
Well, let me kind of lighten the mood here a little bit.
Oh boy.
Because society has lost its mind and no one is calling out the insanity, we created a new segment called I want you to watch this video and then we'll talk about it. Go ahead.
So the owner of this restaurant has gone out of his way to mock this legal, peaceful protest at Antler Restaurant.
Did you get it?
By bringing a leg of an animal to this table where people are only supposed to be dining, where this is not supposed to happen, of course, and he's doing it deliberately to mock and taunt.
Right in front of us because we're vegans. This is what this restaurant is doing. They're murdering animals.
He's already dead, pal.
Animals.
And they think it's funny.
They think it's funny doing this in front of us.
As you can see, the owner has brought the leg of a recently murdered animal to a dining table at the front of the restaurant to actually taunt the activists. Anybody know what animal this might be?
Looks like a leg of lamb.
It's a big animal.
A deer. I think it's a deer. So it looks like he's carving up the leg of a deer in the window, the front window of his restaurant to taunt the activists.
Is this legal? He's not doing it in the kitchen.
legal?
You want to know if this is legal.
It's illegal.
Is this legal? Is this against a health code?
They're looking for anything.
To taunt the activists, he's brought the leg of a recently murdered deer to this dining area. You can see that it's a dining area. There's cutlery, there's glasses here. We don't even know if this is legal for him to be doing this.
It's fine.
I don't know what he thinks this will achieve.
Look at the police like, what are
And
we doing
police are here, so they're going to enter for some reason. And we don't even know if this is
So the police are
complying
going
with
to
health
enter.
regulations. Police are here.
So the police are
Talking to
entering
the
because of
owner
the crybaby liberals.
about his dismembering of a deer
Show us that they're angry through the...
in this dining area to taunt the activists. Police have actually entered the
It's
restaurant.
his restaurant. There's nothing they can do.
They are talking to the owner about his taunting of the activists. They are not here to confront
I
us.
tell him to
The
kick
police
rocks.
specifically entered the restaurant.
Unbelievable. So I would have done the same
Murder.
thing. I would have taken the guy who's doing most of the talking, the vegan
I
guy.
would have threw a leg at him.
I would have brought him in there, had somebody hold him down and feed him some raw red meat.
Gross. That's
Make
not
him
right.
force feed him a burger or something.
There are some. I think being vegan makes you mentally ill.
Yeah,
They're just
well, you don't-
Taunting. They're outside his restaurant with signs chasing away
Yeah,
customers.
who's taunting who?
He's murdering a deer. No, you moron. The deer was murdered a while ago.
That's so stupid.
Who is taunting who in that particular situation?
I love how the cops are getting involved. They're going to go in and tell the guy who owns the restaurant he can't murder the deer on the table.
All right, so RFK Jr. is running for president.
There's Kennedy's left?
Yeah.
Wow.
Still.
Independent presidential candidate Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s announcement of progressive Silicon Valley lawyer and entrepreneur Nicole Shanahan as his running mate on Tuesday sent shockwaves through the Democratic National Committee and President Joe Biden's campaign. It also settled the debate over which party would be hurt by the most by Kennedy's candidacy. It would be the Democrats, they're saying. Fox News reported that Shanahan, 38, ex-wife of Google co-founder Sergey Brin, is a philanthropist with a long history of donating to Democrat and left-leaning causes. Following donations to Democrat presidential candidates, Marianne Williamson, remember her, and Pete Buttigieg, or as Trump said, boot edge. During the 2020 primary, she supported Biden in the general election. So basically what it looks like is now they didn't think Kennedy was going to be that much of a risk to the Democrats. They thought he would probably take votes from Democrats and Republicans. Now that he's hired this far left, or not hired, but now that he's appointed or whatever.
Well, I think she's financing his campaign. That's what's going on.
Yeah, she is. And she's also very far left. So now they're worried that a lot of the left wingers are going to vote for him.
Maybe he's just doing it on purpose because they offed one of his family members.
Not only that, they've been pretty crappy to him.
Yeah.
Not giving him Secret Service.
Democrats are evil.
Yep, not getting him Secret Service. Yep.
Yeah.
So
maybe he's paying them back.
Yeah, so I guess we'll see. I guess we'll see what happens on that.
So maybe Trump should hire RFK into his cabinet once, he
That could be a possibility.
puts the Democrats to bed.
Trump's still got to pick a running mate, right?
Yeah.
They want to do that soon.
You think he needs to do it soon, or should he wait?
I don't know. I think waiting kind of.
I don't know.
I don't even know if it matters.
Can't be a man, though. You got to get a woman in there.
Well,
Need the woman vote, man. You lose a woman vote, you're done. You're done. That's the way he lost last time. Women won't vote for him.
I wonder who would get. I mean, if
He has two females that he's been looking at.
Elise,
he's been looking at more than him.
Elise Stefanik from our district here in New York.
Noam from
Christy Noam. Yeah, she's awesome.
So I think both of them would be a good choice.
I don't trust Tulsi for some reason. I don't know. She might be just fine. Just something about her. She came from the Democrat side of things. I don't know if I trust her.
You can't trust him.
Yeah, I don't know if I trust her. I just don't know. Speaking of Democrats, as we do most often on the show, Anthony's girl, Kathy Hochul, is in the news again. Governor Hochul, I should say originally appointed Governor Hochul.
Former Lieutenant Governor Hochul.
Former Lieutenant Governor, previously appointed Governor Hochul, confronted by a mourner at the New York PD, the NYPD officer Jonathan Diller's wake. The crowd applauds as she leaves. So Governor Kathy Hochul was filmed being confronted by an emotional mourner on her way out of a short visit to the wake for the slain NYPD hero Jonathan Diller Friday afternoon, with bystanders applauding as she made her exit. The unidentified man dressed in a black suit gestured firmly and was visibly agitated as he spoke to the Democratic lawmaker, according to footage of the incident. The tense clash received support from a group of onlookers gathered outside the venue who clapped as the mourner as the blank-faced governor shuffled back to her car. We have that video. I want to show that video, and then we can talk about it. Apparently, right here, he's telling her to get the hell out. People don't like you. We don't want you here. Earn her Secret Service.
Kick rocks there, Botoxer.
They leave. There they go. Now, you got to remember, she's the one who was talking about bail reform. She's the one who let 191 prisoners out of Rikers Island. She's the one who talked about defunding the police. Mm-hmm. And now she shows up at an NYPD funeral?
That's the audacity of a dirtbag.
Now, just to be fair, she said that they weren't kicking her out in the press. So just she made a statement, said that they weren't actually kicking her out, whatever.
She left.
She left after being confronted. So what does it look like? Go ahead.
I don't know.
Comment away.
Just the sheer balls of showing up there after your policies got that man killed. How many felonies did that guy have that shot him?
Wasn't he arrested 21 times?
21 times.
Yeah.
He has multiple felonies.
Yeah.
Take a risk. Let him go.
I mean, at some point, he's going to do something really bad.
He promised.
Well, he did. And so here he did. And now she takes it as an opportunity
Yeah.
to.
I don't even know what the opportunity was.
Yeah.
Because it takes a lot of gall to show up to someone's funeral that your policy's murdered.
Yeah.
I mean, if that guy was off the street, it wouldn't have happened.
Right.
Now you got to.
They don't see cause and effect that way.
They don't. They don't care.
see it. They don't carry anything past as far as they need to say, "Oh, I'm right about this." That's all they do. They never look at the results. Never look at the outcomes. Don't measure anything.
Hey, did they talk about the gun violence?
Oh,
Yeah. Anytime they can mention gun violence, they will.
He shot and killed him. Why are we not talking about it?
Yeah.
The criminal with the gun.
Yeah.
The guy that you're supposed to be stopping from doing stuff, not people like me and you.
No, but they'll use that situation and say that, well, if he didn't have guns, he wouldn't have done it. Oh. Yeah. So it's the gun that made him do it. The guns cause violence.
It's like,
Yeah.
buddy, you got to go over there, man. You got to go over
Yeah,
there.
right.
Come on, just do it, man. I don't want it, man. Oh, come on, man. You got to do it, bro.
Yeah,
his little gun on his shoulder, talking to him.
Yeah.
exactly.
She's a piece of trash.
She is. Yep. But it's things like this. I think that people are going to start to recognize just how bad she really is. I thought we were coming close with Zeldin when he ran against her, and I remember at a big GOP event here in New York State, we were all watching the TVs and we're like, "Oh, damn, he's coming close, but he's not going to do it."
No,
and he
people
didn't.
in New York City are stupid. They really are.
They keep voting for the same garbage. I don't understand. I really don't understand. I mean, you have to be either really stupid or really committed to your tribe.
I'm going to go with stupid.
Yeah.
Well, I think, again, back to the not following through and having intentions, right? I got in a conversation going on with somebody online saying that, well, he says, I'm just going to pick a candidate, based on my gut feelings. And I've always voted Democrat, so I'm just going to vote Democrat. And I'm like, do you look at what's going on? Why don't even look at the candidates. Just look at the policies.
Right,
Figure
exactly.
out what you agree with or not, and then find the candidate.
Do
that
some
agrees with the
homework,
policies.
stupid.
You're not picking the
You know what? That's a
candidates.
good point. If you could have both policies and you could give them on sheets of paper and you could say, here, these are the policies, you pick which one you want. People would look at them.
But don't tell them the candidate's
Don't tell them the
policy.
candidate's name.
And see what they pick.
Right. Don't
But
tell
they're
them.
probably still too stupid to pick the right one.
Well, maybe.
At least 25% of them would be too stupid to pick.
I mean, but to say you're only voting Democrat because you were told to, if someone told you to run off a bridge, would you?
I think some people probably would. There's that one little meme of the 3 boats going off the waterfall.
up yesterday.
Down the
Source.
source.
Where's your tinfoil hat?
Where's your Maybe we can show that. We'll show that. Little
That's similar to what I always say to people. I go, if I walk by your car and I say your tire's flat, and you look at me and say, how do you know more about my car than I do? And I'm like, your tire's flat. Right. It's got nothing to do with anything else.
Well, my air pressure gauge didn't tell me that, so I'm going to keep driving.
That's like this one guy. He's trying to get the attention of this girl in a car. He's going. He's
Oh,
like.
I
trying
saw
to
that one.
And she rolls a window.
I have
down.
a boyfriend.
I have a boyfriend. And
Well, you got a
he's
flat
like,
tire. Can you help me? No, call your boyfriend. That's perfect. That's how you deal with stupid people.
That's funny.
exactly.
And these women today actually think because you're talking to them that you just want to date them. It's like,
Right.
just
Get a grip.
get over yourself. It's just trying to tell you something. And the first thing out of her mouth, I have a boyfriend.
Yeah.
Can you help me? That was great.
No, I'm sorry.
No, call your boyfriend.
Yeah.
That was classic.
Good stuff. Well,
That's
anyway.
classic.
So just to wrap up on HOCHUL,
You're a dirtbag.
everybody hates her. Seems like everybody
Hopefully
hates her.
enough people hate her.
Hopefully.
No, she'll be here forever.
We're going to go take a short break. I want you to stick around because we have Stephen Willeford coming up, the national hero. You know who he is. We are going to be interviewing him right on this show, right after this quick message. So stick around. We're right back.
The Cali Key removes your AR from the definition of an assault weapon. It lets you keep your rifle with all its features, avoid registration hassles, and transport in hostile jurisdictions. The Cali Key also lets you hunt in jurisdictions like Pennsylvania and enhances long-range precision shooting. Cali Key's expert legal opinions empower informed decisions, and sales help grassroots Second Amendment organizations. Cali Key is your tool to keep and equip your AR, empower yourself, and defend your civil rights.
Our
founding fathers saw them coming over 200 years away. That's why they wrote the Second Amendment. Join us in the fight to preserve your gun rights and stop unconstitutional gun control. Gun Owners of America is the country's only no-compromise gun rights organization. Not only do we inform and educate, but we bring the fight to court and win. Your God-given right to keep and bear arms is our top priority. Become a member today and help us take back America. Join us at gunowners.org. When Devin Patrick Kelly opened fire inside First Baptist Church in Sutherland Springs, a man who lived near the church grabbed his own gun and ran out of the house barefoot to confront the killer. As Kelly sped away in a Ford Explorer, the good guy with a gun knew he still had a part to play. He spotted Johnny Langendorf and his truck across the street and hailed him down. Langendorf didn't hesitate, and together they chased down the killer. Now, we are honored to have that hero, that good guy with a gun, on the show today. His name is Stephen Willeford, and I'm going to let him tell the rest of the story. Stephen, it's our pleasure to have you here on the show. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me on. Do you just want me to go straight into the story?
I think, you've probably told this story 1,000 times, but for our audience who may have either not heard about it or haven't heard it in a long time, it was a while ago. Yeah, if you wouldn't mind, I think helping people understand how the process, how it unfolded, would be really helpful.
So in 2017, I was home. Normally, I would have been at church, and I would have been like 40 miles away at a church that I attended. But I was going to start an on-call at the hospital where I worked. So I chose to stay home and relax. And my daughter made me aware of gunfire. And I ran to my safe. I grabbed an AR-15, a magazine, and popped open a box of ammo and shoved ammo in my magazine as I ran for the door. My daughter burst in the door and said, "Dad, there's a guy in black tactical gear shooting up the church." I asked her, I said, "Did you call 911? She said, "I did. They're aware of it." So right away, I was more afraid of the police than I was the shooter himself, because they were coming to a mass shooting and I was running across the street with an AR-15 in my hands and no shoes on. I didn't take time to put my shoes on. I asked my daughter to load me another magazine because I only had a handful of ammo, and that was sending her back in the house to do busy work to occupy her. I did not want her following me out because he already had enough targets, and I didn't want him to have her as a target. I didn't want her to be a distraction, and I certainly didn't want her to run to my side if I had failed.
Can I interrupt you for 1 second, Stephen? That you just brought up something that's important. You seem to be, in that moment, not as reactive as most people might think you would be, but more rational, that you are able to tell your daughter, give her, like you said, busy work, because I'm shocked, because most people, I think, would be somewhat reactive in a situation like that, but it seemed like you kept your cool. How were you able to do that?
I truly believe, I'm a Christian, and I truly believe that God was instructing me and covering me, and I was thinking more clearly than I had ever thought before in my life.
Wow.
And I can't explain everything. I did call my wife as I was loading the magazine and getting the gun out, and I asked her where she was. She said she was at my younger daughter's house taping and floating walls. We were trying to complete a house for my younger daughter at the time. I said, "Stay where you're at." She said, "What's going on?" I said, "There's someone shooting up the church." She said, "Don't go over there," and I hung up on her. And again, I dropped the phone, ran for the door. The daughter that had made me aware of it, she had run out and got in her car and drove up the block to find out what was going on. And she saw him shooting through the doors and moving into the church. He turned to her, and she did a U-turn and ran away as fast as she could. And again, when I ran out the door, she followed me outside the door. And I thought she was going to follow me over there. And again, I didn't want her to, so I guess I sent her back in the house. And as I ran across the street, I yelled out. People say that wasn't too smart, and it really wasn't. It kind of gave away my my element of surprise, if you will. And inside the church, he had just shot Julie Workman through the breast, and he shot Chris Workman in the back. They were both hiding under the pews, and it instantly paralyzed Chris from the waist down. And then he walked over and he was pointing the pistol directly at Chris. And Chris thought he was going to die. And Chris heard me yell. And he said the expression on the shooter's face changed. He dropped his rifle in the church and came out of the church shooting at me with a pistol. I real quickly ran for a Dodge pickup truck parked in the yard across from the church, and I came up over the hood. He hit the truck in front of me, shattered the windshield of the car behind me, and he hit the house behind me. He had on Class 3 body armor and a ballistic bulletproof helmet.
Can I stop you for 1 second again, Stephen? I'm
Yes.
sorry to interrupt you, but I want to get these points in, because you said he dropped his rifle but came out with his pistol. Why did he do that?
Again, I truly believe that God called the demon out of that church. And it wouldn't have taken him but 2 seconds to finish off Chris and Julie. But when I yelled out, he complied immediately. And I truly believe that when God calls a demon out, it has to comply immediately. And that's the only explanation that I have. Is I truly believe that there was a spiritual warfare that was going on that no man's eyes could see.
So that's amazing. This is amazing so far. So anyway, so you get to the pickup truck.
And he, like I say, he hit the truck in front of me, shattered the windshield of the car behind me, hit the house behind me. I came up over the hood of the truck. I hit him in the left chest, and I hit him in the abdomen. Both of those stopped by the body armor. He ran for his vehicle, which was parked in the middle of the street with the driver's side door open and the engine running. And as he turned to the side, I was able to put a round high in his side and one high in his legs. And he got in the vehicle, and he put 2 shots through the side window. And I saw those holes open up and the glass falling, all in slow motion. I put one where I perceived his head to be, because I couldn't really see his head because of the reflection of the sun in the glass. And law enforcement said that broke across his forehead right underneath the brim of the helmet. He accelerated, turned the corner, and was fleeing as fast as he could. By the time I got in the middle of the street, he was about 150 yards away and fleeing. I put one final shot through the back windshield that shattered the back windshield, and law enforcement said that went through the driver's side seat and hit him right at the left shoulder blade. And he topped the hill and out of sight. And I'm standing in the middle of the street saying, "It can't get away. This can't end this way." And I looked off to the left, and there was a pickup truck. It stopped at the stop sign. And I'd never met the man before in my life. And I ran over and I tapped on the window and said, "That guy just shot up the Baptist church and we have to stop him." He was on the phone with, at the time, dispatch. 911 here goes straight to dispatch. So he was talking to dispatch. He unlocked the truck, and I climbed up in the cab of the truck with him. and we gave chase, and we chased him 11.6 miles. And in the end, he killed himself. He tucked the pistol up underneath his helmet and pulled the trigger and killed himself. I'm okay with that. I truly believe he was coughing up his own blood, but the fact he chose to take his own life is okay with me.
Wow. So that was that's amazing. So 11 and a half miles, you chased him. I might think of things that maybe you've never been asked before, but these are things that come to my mind as I'm trying to play out this scenario. What were you and him talking about for 11 and a half miles?
Well, he was on the phone with dispatch.
Okay.
He was very occupied driving. He said over 95. I'm going to say he was doing over 100. So he was driving with one hand, and with the other, he was holding the phone to the side of his head and speaking to dispatch. I dropped the magazine at some point and looked in the magazine because I didn't know how many rounds I'd put in the magazine. I didn't know how many rounds I had fired, but I dropped the magazine. I looked, I had one round on top of the magazine, one in the chamber. And I told Johnny, I said, tell them, hurry, hurry. I have 2 rounds left, and he still has on body armor. So that's some of the conversation that happened. And then at some point I told Johnny, if you catch him, you're going to have to put him off the road. And Johnny was in a 3/4 ton Dodge pickup truck, and the murderer was in a Ford Explorer or Ford Escape. And so Johnny could have very well put him off the road. And Johnny just looked at me real calmly and said, yeah, I already figured that. So Johnny was probably already thinking, I get to try a pit maneuver,
Oh, right. So you guys were pretty much on the same page and didn't have to say a heck of a lot to each other, it sounds like.
No, he was for the most part, his part was telling dispatch what roads we were crossing, what road we were on. We were on County Road 307. And each time we crossed a crossroads, he would say, this is where we are, letting dispatch know where the chase is being taken place. Again, police are on the way to the church, but we definitely wanted some officers to come to the chase. And in the end, he pulled over off to the right side of the road into the ditch, and Johnny pulled out with his front bumper, even with the guy's rear bumper, still on the road. And I reached over with my left hand and opened the door, and I stuck the rifle out the window. And at some point I had let the window down. I stuck the rifle out the window. I was going to step out and use the door as a shield and re-engage him. But before my foot hit the ground, he accelerated. He hit a sign in front of him, back on the road, and Johnny was after him right away. I barely got my foot back in the vehicle, and we chased him about 3/4 of a mile more up the road. This time he swerved off to the left and through a fence and about 50 yards out in the field. And I told Johnny, I said, get down below the dash. And I got out this time and put the rifle over the hood of another truck and had it aimed at the driver's side window. And he was faced away from me, so I couldn't really see in the vehicle or anything. And I started yelling, get out of the truck, get out of the vehicle. And I waited another 5 to 7 minutes before police arrived. And I heard nothing or saw anything from the vehicle at the crash scene. The next thing I heard were the police officer that came first on the scene on a PA system. He said, driver, get out of the vehicle with your hands up. And I turned and looked up off to the left, and I could see the officer there, and he keyed the mic and said it again, driver, get out of the vehicle with your hands up. At this point, I didn't know how much the officer knew.
Right.
So I laid the rifle on the hood of Johnny's truck, and I started coming back to the backside of the truck with my palms out, hands up, wanting the officer to know, I'm not the bad guy.
Yeah.
And he's standing there with a mic in his left hand and a pistol in his right hand. He's standing behind his door. And we make eye contact, and he keyed the mic again, and he looked at me. He said, "Not you."
So he knew. So he knew.
He knew. But I didn't know that he knew.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I would imagine you'd be afraid of getting shot by the cops. I can't imagine that.
That was my biggest concern. I did not want to be shot by the police. But look, anyone in this kind of situation, you need to understand that law enforcement's coming hard and fast. They don't necessarily have all the facts.
Right.
And they want to go home to their family at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So you need to be aware that they may not know who you are. So you need to do everything you can to be compliant, be seen as compliant, and absolutely, go above and beyond to make sure that they don't shoot you. But they had put Johnny through to dispatch, and apparently they knew already who I was. And so I went back over and I picked up the rifle again and held it over the hood of the truck. Again, I'm about 50 yards from the shooter. I got an AR-15. He's 100 yards away, and he's got a pistol. So I, even having 2 rounds, had a tactical advantage over him. And we waited till another 5 or 6 more squad cars came. This time they were going to their trunks and they were pulling out AR-15s of their own. And I'm like, I'm done. I pulled the rifle off. I put it on the toolbox of Johnny's truck. And now I'm trying to get my feet in the shade of Johnny's truck. November 5th, 2017 in Sutherland Springs, Texas, it was 90 degrees for a high. And I was barefoot and my feet started to feel it. The adrenaline was gone at that moment, and my feet are getting hot.
Oh, man.
So I stayed there another 30, 45 minutes trying to keep my feet in the shade, and I decided that I was going to run back to the police line. And when I started to run, they said, no, we'll bring up a police cruiser and bring you back to the police line. You can use it for cover. So they brought up a police cruiser, and then as I kind of squatted down and ran back to the police line with the police car beside me, then they put me on a hand guardrail there on the side of the road. And I was wondering why they didn't approach the vehicle. I later found out that they had sent another officer home to get he had gotten a drone for his birthday. And so they sent him home to get his drone so he could fly over there and see what was going on in the vehicle. Oh. And that's when they determined that the shooter had taken his own life. And they held me down there at the crash scene for about 4.5 hours.
Well, and let me say this. I mean, if it wasn't for the idea that Texas is so gun friendly, Second Amendment friendly, you wouldn't have been able to do what you did. And I wanted to mention one of our sponsors before we go any further with you. And I know you and I both are very involved with Gun Owners of America. They are the No Compromise Gun Rights Group, and I urge everyone to become a member at gunowners.org. What have they done? Well, GOA has secured a preliminary injunction against the ATF pistol brace rule. GOA members have submitted a record 85,000 plus comments opposing the ATF's universal registration check rule. They helped enact permitless carry in Nebraska and Florida. GOA secured victories in California, Illinois, New Mexico, New York, Oregon, Pennsylvania, and Virginia. Plus, they won 2 legal victories against the ATF zero tolerance policy, and GOA fought to overturn Joe Biden's ban on funding hunter education, shooting sports, and archery in schools. So with the constant attack on our Second Amendment, we often ask ourselves, what can I do? This is what you can do. You can become a member of gunowners.org and help us save the Second Amendment. So thank God, Stephen, that you were able to do what you did. It's an amazing story. I would imagine after all that, so at that point, they declared him dead in his car, correct?
Yes. They still had not approached the car when I left 4.5 hours later. I guess
4.5 hours. Wow. Okay.
So I didn't know whether they were waiting because they were worried about the vehicle being booby trapped or what. I don't know. But when they finally gave me my leave to go, and thank God I lived in Texas. Texas is a very gun-friendly state, 2A-friendly state. If I'd been California or New York or one of the other states, I may not have been able to just walk away.
Yeah.
But when I finally was able to walk away, they were still there at the crash scene. I didn't know whether they were waiting to see if he bled to death or what. I really don't care. But at some point, like I say, they flew the drone over and said that he had committed suicide. But they had not right away just approached the car. But they gave me my leave to go. I did everything that a lawyer will tell you not to do. I gave a statement to 5 different law enforcement agencies down there at the crash scene. And they always tell you, shut up and lawyer up. And I should have, but they kept promising me, and they will do this. They said, if you just give us a statement, we'll let you go home. And finally, at the end, they told me when the Texas Rangers get here, they'll take over the scene and you give them a statement and then you can go home. And that ended to be the case, as I gave the Texas Rangers statement and he said, you can go home. And as I was walking, they had set up a roadblock about 200 yards up the road. And I could see my wife's car there. And as I started walking that 200 yards back to the car, a very pleasant looking lady about my age came up behind me and said, Mr. Willeford, I need to speak with you. I turned around and looked at her and she was crying. And she said, I had friends in that church. And I said, how bad was it? She said, it is really bad. And then she pulled out a card. She said, but if I can do anything to help you, here's my card. I'm the DA of Wilson County. So the DA had come out and offered me her card. And that was literally my get out of jail free card.
What a different situation than what would have happened here in New York or in California. Unbelievable.
25 to life.
Yeah. Oh, God.
If we ever did that here, we'd be done.
Yeah. Yeah. Not even a chance, right?
Not even.
I mean, they wouldn't even
Lock you right up, right?
Yeah.
Not even a chance.
No, we wouldn't even see you.
And we talked a lot about the situation, what happened there, and I'll bet you that town is still not the same after all the loss of life of those wonderful people.
Well, it is.
Go ahead.
It is a very resilient town, but it will never be the same. Understand, Sutherland Springs is under 600 total population.
Oh, wow.
And 26 people died
Wow.
Under 600 total population. Think about that for a moment. And 26 people died.
Yeah.
And 20 more were shot and injured. That's a considerable percentage of the total population. And again, I'm fourth generation on the same property. My great grandfather bought the property in 1927. I knew my great grandparents until I was in my mid 20s before they died. So I had connection to the little town and always will. I'll live here until I die. And, you know, it's Mayberry, USA.
Yeah.
Everybody knows everybody.
Yeah.
And everybody cares for everybody.
Well, sometimes I wish I could live in a town like that. It just sounds like just such a great place to be, because with all the bigger the population gets, the bigger the cities get, the bigger the suburbs get, the more laws and rules and government that comes in. When you have those small towns like that, it just seems like just the best place on earth. Stephen, you really are a hero, and I'm sure everybody's told you that. And I just wanted to say it once again, because you deserve to be told that because of what you did. You had a bravery. You said it was God helping you through it or making you act or whatever. But I mean, still, you're the man who did it, and I think we all appreciate that very much. So thank you for what you did. I did want to talk a little bit about some of the other things you wanted to mention here, and one of the things is Gun Owners of America and the event that's coming up. Did you want to give us a little bit of info on that?
So we're having our first annual convention. It's called GOLDS, GOA GOLDS. It's going to be taking place in Knoxville, Tennessee. Knoxville, Tennessee is a beautiful place to be. Not as good as Texas, but great place to be. And our goals, we're going to have manufacturers booths, and we're going to have anything gun related that you can think of. We're going to have great speakers there. I'm going to be speaking at Goals, right along with just a whole bunch of other people. And it's just going to be a great time. It's going to be a 2-day event. All the GOA members get in free. Please go to gunowners.org, sign up as a member, and come to Knoxville and see us.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait. It's the first GOA event like this, isn't it? I mean, we know other gun rights groups have their events. This is the first one for GOA, if I'm not mistaken.
It's the first one for Gun Owners of America. It's the first time we're having a national convention.
Now, you also recently got back to another, because I know when we talked about you coming on the show, you said you were at another event when we were talking, called The Gathering. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
So The Gathering takes place in Clinton, South Carolina. It's put on by Palmetto State Armory, and they have a lot of the manufacturers and the stuff that are at this event, and you can shoot their stuff from Smith & Wesson and Springfield Armory, and you just get to walk around and shoot their stuff. They have 17 bays for shooting.
Wow.
And someone told me we do about 15,000 people a year show up for this, and 17 bays. They said they average 10,000 rounds per bay per day.
Oh, man, that's awesome.
So there's a lot of lead sent down range.
That's awesome.
The liberals say that we're all crazy. All these gun owners are far right extremists, crazy and dangerous. With that much lead flying around, if we were crazy and dangerous, then somebody would get injured, but nobody ever gets injured.
Gun owners are some of the most responsible and respectful people that I've ever met in my life. Stephen, and you're one of them. Where can people find you, or what's your call to action that you'd like people to know?
Well, I have a book out. It's called A Town Called Sutherland Springs. Please, you can go to Amazon and pick it up. You can also go to gunowners.org and purchase my book at gunowners.org. You can find my page. I am very sorry. I'm sorry about that.
That's all right. No, wait, I didn't even hear it. Go ahead. So we can find you where?
You can find my page at thebarefootdefender.com.
Awesome. Hey, Stephen, thanks so much. Really appreciate you being on the show, and I'll see you in Tennessee. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thanks so much for watching The Loaded Mic on Rumble and YouTube. You can also find us on OpsLens, the Right American Media, Simul TV, and the Key Radio Network. You can find the podcast on any podcast platform out there. We're on all of them. Just remember, the Second Amendment is not a privilege. It's your right.